Iaquinta fighting Dan Hooker. Is there anybody tougher in the history of the sport than Dan Hooker, right? Fair question. He's definitely in consideration if you're just doing who's toughest. Oh, by the way, Al is in that same conversation. So these guys are going to go fight. You have to understand, these two maniacs are just going to go punch and kick each other for 15 minutes and then hope to have done more damage and gain more favor with the judges than the other guy and go to a decision. That's exactly how this fight goes. I guarantee you, Al's going to punch him right in the face, kick him right in the ribs, but I guarantee you Hooker can take it. Same thing goes the other way. I guarantee Hooker's going to come out with that kickboxing, use that length, follow up with those big kicks like he always does, but I guarantee you Al Iaquinta can take it. These two, literally, maybe for the first time ever, have the most vicious game plan because of what they're accepting, what they're respecting about their opponents, which is this guy almost can't be hurt. Oh, and by the way, when he is hurt, he doesn't show he's hurt. He's never going to go down. There's no situation where one of these guys is going to cover up and get TKO'd or, get knocked out. I don't think you've even got too much submission or wrestling to worry about. I mean, this to me just looks like a dog fight. This looks like a fight of the night. This looks like one of those fight of the year candidates. And so much about this sport, it's really just two things, right? Who's better than the other guy, but then you've got the element of who's tougher than the other guy. And you generally only need to be one. If you're the best guy for skills, you go all the way to a world championship. If you're the toughest guy, the toughest, you go all the way to a world championship. You got two guys that are really good and really tough. Oh, and by the way, they're fighting one another. Not a fun fight for either of those guys to have to be in, but in terms of excitement and almost guaranteeing a fight of the night, yeah, I feel pretty comfortable telling you Al Iaquinta, Dan Hooker, gonna deliver. So, a big thing in this fight also is where do you go from here, right? I mean, where does a win over Dan Hooker put Al? Where's a win over Al put Hooker? Al was Khabib's hardest fight to date, but Al is coming off a loss. In many ways, a surprise. I believe he was the favorite when he went and fought Cowboy, but he's coming off a loss. Hooker is in the same position, and though it was valiant and his stock went up, he's coming off a loss. So the typical conversation of the title fight and the top kid, no, that's not what this is about. This is still a very meaningful and important fight where both guys want to look to get back on track. But I don't think it takes either of them out of the big, musical chairs games that's going around about who's Conor going to fight. I think the wind is blowing towards Conor versus Gaethje. Excuse me. But if history over the last 4 or 5 months has told us anything, it's that every time a 155-pounder fights, that's the guy that now gets Conor excited. Every single time somebody fights, Conor sends a tweet out that night, "You're next." I mean, he's jumping all over the board. And quite frankly, for these guys to be next, and they're going to have a fantastic fight. This fight is going to get rave reviews come Monday morning. I think we can all agree on that. Possibly, Conor inserts himself in this. One thing we always see about this sport, whatever is most recent is what we seem to think is best. Whatever the newest idea is, that's the best idea. Whoever the latest guy to fight is, that's the best guy. We see that a lot. It's a common thing. So while we sit here and talk now, and you are probably thinking Iaquinta and Hooker aren't even in this conversation, Chael, what do you do? Yeah, that's true, they're not, but they could get inserted in it. This is a fantastic fight, and Conor starts chirping, and one of them chirps back. Right? This is how big fights are made. It's possible. What are they really fighting for? Look, they're fighting to get back on track. Fine. Is there possibly a little more of a pot of gold on this rainbow? Yeah, it's definitely reasonable.